The first thing I want to start off with is special teams was terrific again this week. Obviously the big play is the kickoff return to start the game, but you had a punt block, you had the PAT block, and you started the second half with another muff recovery. I would just talk about the job you guys have done there because I feel like that's really set the tone not only to open the game but also to open the second half, and I feel like that's kind of been a dagger for the teams you played the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, man, it's all 3 weeks I feel like our kids have done a fantastic job in that phase of the game. Coach Posich, he does a great job. Man, we spend a lot of time on special teams. If you look at our practice schedule throughout the week, we spend probably an hour combined throughout the week on special teams. So, and we have an emphasis each day, and our kids, I feel like where we spend so much time on it, they embrace it and they work hard at it. And a lot of those guys, you know, that might not be starting on O and D, they see that as opportunities to go out and make plays, and man, they're killing it, doing awesome. Each week, one of the objectives is to create an explosive play on special teams and create a takeaway, and we've done that all 3 weeks.
You've been on the opposite side of this with Brad and with Dom. Were you surprised they kicked to him to start the game? Because Coach Marion said that wasn't the plan to kick to him. And I know towards the end of last year, teams stopped kicking to him entirely.
Yes and no, but I saw on film their kicker has exceptional leg talent. I mean, he can kick it. He can kick touchbacks. So whenever you have a weapon like that, it's hard to squib and scot every time. But at the same token, personally, I wouldn't kick it to Brad. But we told him all week, we're like, you might get a shot this week. He can put it down in the end zone. So the first kick, how far was it? Was it inside the 5?
It was it fielded at the 4, 96.
Yeah, it was deep. And I told our kids, I was like, man, just execute your job. There they went. It was awesome.
Defensively, kind of building off what you guys did last week, I felt like you trust your guys in coverage and one-on-ones a ton. You put them in those situations and expect them to execute. You held them to 3 of 16 passing in the first half, and they were just never able to really get anything going. So talk about the defensive effort and being able to trust those guys in coverage because they have athletes that can be ball winners that can make plays down the field.
Yeah, the Treadway kid's tough.
Yeah. And you just your guys never really allowed them to get in that position.
Well, the way we see it, Tyler, like we say pressure burst pipes or makes diamonds. We say that. And to win consistently versus what our kids have been executing, I guess the level that they've been executing at, I think it's tough. It's tough on anybody. And the guys that we have covering, we've been putting in a lot of work, since June, May. So, and we have a plethora of them. I was just talking to the radio guys. In practice, when we practice offense, the guys that are playing defense, they play a lot of football. And vice versa. When we practice defense, our guys are going against Isaiah, Corbin, and Logan Whitaker, which those 3 would probably start on a lot of teams on offense. And they play on offense some too. So they get really good live reps and chances to scout team quarterback. So, I mean, sometimes you're going against like some of the best kids definitely in our areas, probably the state. So those DBs, they get tested in practice. So Friday night, they put it to work.
We'll get the chance in just a second, but Brad, you split his touches, 5 rushes, 5 receptions, and some of those receptions were manufactured kind of rushes in the sense they were to touch passes. Talk to me about, what goes into being able to get him the ball to avoid some of those brackets, because the touches are really effective, and that's something that you really have to game plan for, because teams, I think that there was at one point where there were almost 4 or 5 guys shaded over his side of the field to make sure that he didn't burn them. So, take me through how you're able to really create those touches, because they're effective. It's not just like, okay, we're just manufacturing the force feeding the ball. Like he does something with it.
Right. Well, with Brad, the way I would describe him, it's like a chess piece. He's like a queen. You can move him all over the board. And last week being the first time they bracketed him like that, it made me dig in the bag a little bit and think like, what are some other ways we can, move him pre-snap, align him pre-snap, to either force their hand defensively, how they're going to align or how they're going to move. We used some new motions. We did some stack stuff. Like during the second half, I think Chance threw 1 pass. We came out and I got in some sets where we stacked 3 receivers and they pulled all 4 guys in the secondary and the second level. over there. Then you got your numbers in the box, and when the other kids start producing it, and we're able to go fast, it enables us to get Brad easier touches, I guess you'd say. So, just mixing it up, man. Motion, jet, screens, intermediate balls. It's hard to get him shot plays because you got a safety plan 12 yards off and a guy in his face. I mean, they pretty much take that away. But I call him, he's a ball kid. I mean, you just get him the rock and he'll make plays.
Gotcha. And lastly, kind of wrapping things up with Chance, broke the career touchdown passing.
That's neat. I had no idea how close he was to that.
Well, you've seen enough of him again that he's been a really effective kid. What is it playing against him or coaching against him and coaching him that you feel like kind of makes him so special? Because I feel like just one thing that he does really well is he executes the offense. I feel like he's always done that. Whether it's screen passes or whether it's deep passes, it doesn't feel like there's a lot forced, and I feel like that's why he's really efficient and he doesn't turn the ball over a ton. What is it about him that you think that makes him so special?
I want to piggyback off what you just brought up, just him executing at a high level. This is a new system for him. Obviously, he's been in spread systems, but we do some new concepts and stuff, and some of the reads are different. The first 2 weeks, it took us a little bit to get into a rhythm, and tonight, we did some film study this week, and I changed up some drills. We did an individual, and it was neat to see tonight. I mean, he came out and executed, made good plays, didn't take sacks. But what makes him special, in my opinion, is one, it's his desire to be good. There's a lot of kids that talk it. They say they want to be good, but the work ethic doesn't always match up with the want ethic, and his are very equal. So the desire, I think that fuels his work ethic, and on top of that, I've told you this, he's an underrated athlete. I mean, he dunks on kids in the gym, and he's got great arm talent. He's busted his tail in the weight room, and something else too is cool. He's a tough kid, and he stays even keel, and something I'm enjoying, where he's a veteran, we can communicate, and not just him, but with the receivers too. We communicate with what they're seeing. They come over and tell me, what levers they're playing, how far off they're playing. We just go from there. And I feel like that's why, I guess, the last 3 weeks you start seeing surgery happen on the field with those guys. But yeah, Chance, he's a special kid, no doubt.
Another kid, and I think that you gave him like your all-around player of the week or something last week, but he had a sack, he had an interception, he had a rushing touchdown. Jake Belcher, he's a kid that he played wide receiver against you. He plays running back for you right now. He moves all around. He's played quarterback. As a coach coming in, you're trying to teach a new system. How helpful is it to have a kid like that that's also back there in the backfield that probably understands so much of what each position requires to help you with this?
Well, Jake playing quarterback, I think that helps him because he understands passing concepts and how that works, and he's played receiver in the past, so I think that helps him. And the reason we moved him to running back, obviously we were having some injuries, but I saw how he runs the football as a quarterback, and you see him. I mean, he's a downhill runner. He's elusive. He's good with the stiff arm. He's a Swiss Army knife per se, and he makes plays in special teams and defense as well. He's just a kid that practices really hard, works really hard. As a teacher, it's fun working with him because everything you give him, he soaks it in and uses it. He executes what you ask him to. And I think that's what makes him special.
I'd be remiss if I didn't ask about it, but Caleb, first-team All-State player, looked like he hurt his leg. It didn't come back in. Is there any update on him?
I know he's at the hospital right now. It looked like the kid that tackled him kind of hip dropped him a little bit, and he just got bent up weird. He said his knee made a pop, and Caleb's a warrior, man. He tried to go back in, and he played a series or two, and I think his knee swelled up and tightened up on him. So, man, we're just going to pray for the best and just try to get him healthy, and hopefully we get some good news.